Greetings, my name is Aurora Martin, and I'm the co-executive director of Front and Centered. We're one of 10 collaborators in the Northwest Climate Resiliency Collaborative and serve on the leadership team. Our unique composition as a collaborative, both in terms of the number of participants and diversity of perspectives, was intentionally designed to address the complexity and multidimensional aspects of the challenges we're tasked with. To address the question of how the Northwest Collaborative plans to integrate and act upon justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, our team thought it might be most helpful to share the who, what, why, and how of Front and Centered, given that we are the largest and most diverse statewide coalition of community groups focused on environmental and climate justice in the Northwest region. But first, let's look at the guiding question of the Northwest Collaborative. Over the next several years, our collaborative aims to examine and develop laws and policies and investment strategies by starting at the margins of our ecosystem. How can science-based evidence assist frontline communities in improving their resilience to climate change while addressing the legacy of systemic inequity that continues to influence their lives and livelihoods? For Front and Centered, we answer that question with a point of view rooted in environmental justice, and one that connects with the many Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian, and Pacific Islander community groups around the nation and around the world, people who are the first and the worst hit by climate change impacts. Our community leaders and constituencies are the network of Black churches aspiring to gain solar energy as they bear witness in Pierce County in and around the longstanding Superfund site, and they are also the farm worker leaders who endure heat-related illness, pesticide poisoning, and whose workdays adjust to the heat patterns or toxic air of wildfire-filled smoke. And they are also the emerging youth leaders of color who grew up with the asthma along the truck routes and industrial fence lines of a neighborhood whose waterfront access is also the Superfund site of a toxic river cleanup they are determined to restore. But the reason Front and Centered ventures into this new collaborative is not only to share the lived experiences of our coalition leaders and community members, we are also approaching this opportunity as co-creators with values-driven ideas and expertise to solve. Front and Centered's work as a growing statewide coalition of community groups draws from the 1996 Jemez Principles and a vision for a just transition. The principles call for inclusive decision-making, bottom-up organizing, letting people speak for themselves, working together in solidarity and mutuality, building just relationships, and committing to self-transformation. So to answer the question of why Front and Centered is involved in this ambitious and experimental collaborative, it's because we believe in the urgency in the transformation for people and planet. JEDI principles for us means environmental justice work, and that environmental justice work is about regenerative livelihoods, renewable resources, communities connected in place, and equitable participatory governance. Now that I briefly touched on the why, your next question might be, what does that look like? What could it look like? And Front and Centered approaches our collaborative's guiding question with the notion of people, policy, and practice. We bring people together through community listening sessions, briefings, and workshops to educate our constituencies about issues and engage in problem solving together. Through strategic convenings, we're building community infrastructure, providing research, analysis, and recommendations to influence statewide policies. And we also understand that policy interventions aren't enough, but we need to shift practice, that is, behaviors, in community and industry sectors. We did this with the recent passage of the Healthy Environment for All Act, signed into law by the governor in May of this year. The HEAL Act is one of the most ambitious environmental justice laws in the state and country, requiring 7 state agencies to engage in environmental justice assessments, community engagement plans, rulemaking, and the creation of an environmental justice council. In this new Northwest Climate Resiliency Collaborative, we are just at the beginning of tackling a lot of things: tribal coastal resiliency, rural resiliency, and scaling resiliency. And so we've been planful by developing a framework whereby leadership and research leads integrate JEDI, thus including tribal representation through the affiliated tribes of Northwest Indians and integrating community representation through front and centered at the decision-making table. And the researchers have also been hired to focus on interacting with frontline communities. In working with the communities, front and centered will bring our community-driven practice of convening and coordinating participants and supporting their capacities to interact and engage with the qualitative and quantitative data as we participate in the advancement of potential tools, protocols, and policy models. Front and Centered believes that when people, policy, and practice are brought to bear and environmental justice fully integrated in the strategies, we can realize the possibilities of sustainable and equitable lasting solutions. We hope to do so in this Northwest Climate Resiliency Collaborative. Thank you.